The next part in Navisworks actually in here is render style in here. That in this panel we have some tools that at first you have to get familiar with these tools that you can do your work better. So in panel of render style actually you're able to have the displaying forms for elements, and you can control them about light, visual style, for example, the drying style that will happen in your project. The render style actually is not actually activated for 2D things, and it's just working for 3D. 2D means, for example, the formats like DWFX and such, these examples, that they are just 2D, and for example, these tools won't work in those environments and options. About the light and displaying form, for example, we will have 5 displaying forms of the elements in here that, for example, it is surface, lines, actually points, shapes, for example, the center of the circle or ovals, that, for example, a point that is existing in the center, for example, text. These are activated generally for 2D forms or the elements that they are activated for these ones. If in Navisworks you see these elements or each of them is inactivated, for example, it means that in this environment we don't have item like this. And here, for example, we have line and surface. They are just activated. If I click on surface, I will see the lines in here. They are completely 2D. Yeah. And if I click on lines, for example, I will see just surfaces or 3D. For example, items. These are 2D. And this is 3D, yeah. Mostly we want to just talk about the things, and completely actually we want to just focus on them to learn them actually. In continuation, at first we will go for the first part of this line. For example, we have 4 lightings in here. The first item is full light. If actually you select this item, generally actually you will use the light that, for example, you can go to the part of render and panel of actually Autodesk render. The lights that are existing in here, for example, the different types of the lights that we have in here, for example, in here, point light, for example, I can set them in here. That way, default, we will have 2 different lights in here that is using in this for the scene. For example, activate them, and let's go to this part. We'll have point light in here. Create, and here let me just use it. Let me close it for now in here, and let me zoom it in. These lights will be selected. Let me just bring it up. Of course, in future in the seasonal rendering we will get more familiar to them. Let's return to this part. Actually, let me just set it in shape. Here if you click on full light, actually generally it will use those lights in here. That, for example, in full render we can see them better. That full light, or for example full lighting, it's using the lights that you've set in here. Scene light is default lights that they are existing in Navisworks, and it uses them. That 2 lights in opposite of each other is by type of linear lighting, and they will be activated by default. Let me go in lighting, for example, this one and this one, these 2 lights. By default it will consider these ones. Let me return to this place. Here headlight is the form actually that the light will be shown exactly by the camera angle, and exactly the place that is focused, exactly that area will be exactly clear to us. Let me delete these parts from here. Let me just set it on headlight. And for example, in every kind of direction that you rotate, based on the angle of the focusing actually, or the camera that you are setting, exactly that place will be more clear. No light is exactly a kind of light that you don't have any kind of lights, and exactly all of the environment will be lighter. You can move through the project easier, and it's completely okay. So these are the forms related to light. Next to this, actually we have some actually displaying things. Full render, exactly it will show us the textures in here. The shaded, it will be like shaded, as you can see. Let me just click on full light. that I can see it better. You know, textures that have been assigned to this completely, they will be shown. And shaded actually is shaded. A wireframe is like wires, and they will be displayed to us like this. And in some small places and vacant places, it's really helpful to us. For busy places, it's really hard. Hidden line, exactly the thing that, for example, is in front of you will be displayed to you, and the elements behind them will be hidden. You know, generally shaded is really perfect option and lighter option for us that we can use it, and it will give us a good view about the thing that we have here. The next actually part that we have in here, I will explain it in the next clip. That is really interesting.